This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So in the yesterday's session, we have seen how to create the purchase order. So we have seen the purchase order related tables. So if I go to EKKO table, this is the purchase document header table, and the item table is EKPO, purchase document item data. Right. So let me try to create the purchase order once again. So in the ABAP editor, what is the program name? ZBAPI 8. Yeah. So this is the program. So in this program, what we have done is initially we prepared only the purchase order header data. Okay, we prepared the purchase order header data, and we are trying to create the purchase order by calling the function module BAPI underscore PO underscore create1. We got the error saying that item data is required. So next, what we have done, along with the purchase order header data, we also prepared what item data. Okay, in the form of internal table, we prepared the item data internal table, and we are setting the corresponding indicators. Then while calling the function model BAPI underscore PO underscore create1, we are supplying both the header data as well as the item data. If the purchase order is successfully created, it will return the generated purchase order number. We are just displaying that number, and we are displaying the status also. So let me execute this. So when I execute, before I execute, or let me execute directly. So when I execute, yeah, the purchase order is successfully created. S indicates what is success. What is the generated purchase order number? 45 45000 22400. Okay, 45000 22400. So if I go to header table, 45000 22400 is a purchase order number. So when I execute, yes, the purchase order is created today only, successfully created. And even if you go to the item table, if I query for the same purchase order, execute, yes, we have what? One item data. Item number what? 10. This is the material number MSC-2000. Right. So what is the next agenda now? We need to enhance. We need to do the BAPI extension. So what is the aim of BAPI extension? By using the BAPI extension, we should be able to pass data related to what customer specific fields while calling the standard BAPI. So if you go to that particular function module, BAPI underscore PO underscore create1. So in function builder, what is the function model? BAPI underscore PO underscore what? Create1. This is the what? BAPI function module. Right. BAPI underscore PO underscore create1. So as part of this function module in the tables section, we have a parameter called as extension in. So by using this parameter, we can supply the data related to what? Customer specific fields. So before that, what you have to do? What are the additional fields you want? We need to add those additional fields in the corresponding base table, and if required in the dependent structures. Okay, so I need to prepare an internal table of type so and so. For this particular parameter, there is a documentation available. Okay, right hand side, if I click on this green button, it will open with a documentation. So customers own fields. This table allows you to add the import parameters of the BAPI without modifying it. Okay, so we need to decide whether you want that additional fields in the header table or in the item table. Then apart from adding the additional fields in the standard tables, we need to add them in the dependent structures. So related to header, what are the dependent structures here? BAPI underscore T underscore what? MEPO header. Another one is what? BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header X. They are the two dependent structures related to what? Header data, purchase order header data. Okay, so first let me add the additional fields in the header table. So in the EKKO table, I want to add some additional fields. As of now, it is showing around 142 fields. So before adding the additional fields, we need to coordinate with the functional consultant to understand what are the data types that we need to add related to the additional fields. So because he is the one who will tell you the business requirement. Okay, in the transaction so and so, they want some additional fields of type so and so. So based on that, we'll provide some meaningful field names. And already we know whenever you are adding the additional fields in the standard table, we need to follow what? Customer namespace standards. According to customer namespace standards, the additional field names must start with what? ZZ or what? YY. The additional field names must start with ZZ or what? YY. So what I'll do is, as part of the table EKKO, first what we need to do in any standard table, if you want to add the additional fields, we need to identify the customer include structure. The customer include structure always starts with what? CA underscore. So in this EKKO table also, if I click on the find button, let me search for CA underscore. Yes, we have the customer include CA underscore. If this include is not there, we have to go for what? Append structure, right? That already we know. Okay. So let me go for what? Customer include only. So how do we add the additional fields? Double click on this customer include. Since this is starting with CA underscore, it will not ask for any access key. So let me double click on this. If this structure is already created, it will directly open with the structure. If the structure is not created earlier, it will prompt you to create the structure. So let me double click on this. Yeah. Okay. If you are double click on the first time, you will get this message. Structure so and so is not available. Create the structure. Yes. I'll provide some description. So I'll say something. Same fields I'll add what I added in the last class. The last example in the BAPI extension. So I'll say completer fields. Right. Here I have to give the field names. You have to start with what? ZZ or what? YY. Even if you don't start, it will work. But when you are upgrading the software from lower version to higher version, SAP will cross-check this particular naming standards. If you are not followed, again we have to recreate them. To avoid the headache at later point of time, better we follow the standards recommended by SAP. So I'll start with what? ZZ. I'll give something ZZ commutator name. Types. I can create these additional fields either by using direct data type or by referring to what? Data element or what? Domain. So I'll say ZZ commutator name types. I'll give the field name as something Z commutator name. Something. I'll give the data element as Z commutator name. I'll press enter. If this is already there, it will display the data type here. It is not there. So let me double click and create the data element. Double click on the data element. Let us save it in the local object. What do you want to create? Data element only. Provide some description. I'll provide the domain name. Domain name and data element name can be same. Let me get something Z commutator name. Press enter. Domain is not available. Create the domain. Double click on this. Create the domain. Provide some description. Let us give the data type as something character of something what 25 something. right? Let me select the checkbox lowercase so that in case if you're adding this particular field in the transaction level, the case sensitivity will be considered. If I don't select the checkbox lowercase, always the data is captured in what? Uppercase. So that's the reason. If I select the checkbox lowercase, in whatever case we enter the data, that case will be retained. Done. Let me save it. Save the domain. Activate the domain. The domain is activated. Provide some field label at the data element level. Data element is activated, right? So this is my first field. Let me add another field, ZZ commutator address. I'll say something types Z commutator address. Done. It is not available. Create the data element. I'll give the domain name also same. Domain doesn't exist, not existing. Create the domain. Right. Data element is active. So let us create these two fields. As usual, let us provide the enhancement category. Activate your structure. It may take some time to activate. So what is that we are trying to do here? We are trying to extend procedure for extending what? Standard BAPI. What is that BAPI we are doing? BAPI underscore PO underscore create1. Okay. So what are the steps you have to follow here? Analyze the base table where we need to add what? Where we need to add what? Where we need to add the additional fields. Additional fields specific to what? Customer. Okay. So here in our case we are taking the table as what? EKKO, right? So as part of this table, what we have done, we have added the additional fields. Okay, so as part of what? EKKO table, okay, add the additional fields. Create the additional fields as part of what? The customer includes, what is that? CA underscore what? EKKO DB. Done. This is the second step. What is the third step now? Once this is activated, it is taking some time. It is still taking some time. So let it activate. Meanwhile, we have read the documentation. So if you see the documentation here, if I go to display, related to header, okay, what is the corresponding dependent structure? BAPI underscore table extension underscore MEPO header, BAPI underscore table extension underscore MEPO header X. Okay, so let us enhance the dependent structure BAPI T MEPO header and BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header X. The third step is enhance the dependent structures BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header and what BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header X by adding what? Additional fields. We have to enhance the dependent structure. So let's see whether we need to add the additional fields or SAP has already done it by default. In the earlier example, we have discussed in BAPI extension, BAPI underscore sales order underscore create from dat2. We have added the additional fields in the base tables, plus we added the additional fields in the dependent structures, because in that case it was append structure. In the standard table VBAK, we added the additional fields in the form of append structure. But in this case, the additional fields are added in the customer include. So that include might be already included in the dependent structures. We don't know. Let us cross check. First of all, this needs to be activated. It's still taking some time. Good. You can see here, it is saying errors occurred when activating, refer to the log. I don't know whether this is the error related to my structure or the error related to the existing fields. Let me say continue. Yeah, you can see our structure got activated. You can see here table CA underscore EKKO DB activated. So no issue in my case. It is giving the error related to the existing fields. I'm not bothered about that. Continue. Right. So you can see it is successfully activated. If you go back to the table, yeah, you can see now CA underscore EKKO DB is showing you what? Two fields, ZZ commutator name and ZZ commutator address. So done. So we have enhanced the standard table by adding the enhancing the table means what? Adding the additional fields. We have done it. Then from the documentation, we identified the dependent structures. BAPI T MEPO header, BAPI T MEPO header X. Let me go and check those structures. So here in ABAP dictionary only, I'll choose the radio button data type. What is that? BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header. BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header. If I display, yeah, you can see good. In this structure, you can observe here, this structure is automatically included. Actually, we double clicked on that structure in the table. Okay, so that structure is already included in this dependent structure. So I need not add any additional fields because that customer include, we know the concept of include. It can be included in any number of programs, any number of objects. So here it is automatically inserted in what? The dependent structure, so and so. Okay, done. Yeah, next what I have to do, already I covered. If you don't have CI include, go for append structure. If you have CI include, go for CI include. CI include is nothing but dot include. If that include is not there, go for append structure. Last example which we covered in the VBAK table, we didn't add any customer include. So I went for what? Append structure. If the customer include is there, always you have to go for customer include. That customer include is included by using the what? Addition what? Dot include. Okay. Right. So it is automatically included here. Let me go to the other structure. BAPI underscore ME BAPI underscore what is that? T underscore MEPO header X. So if I display this structure, you can see this is a different structure here slightly. You can see it is not CA underscore EKKO DB, it is CA underscore EKKO DB X. So this is a indicator structure. We have to add only what? Indicators here. Okay, so field names must be same, but you have to set what? Indicators. Am I clear? So what I'll do is I cannot open this in what? Change mode. Let me open this in display mode. So this is the include structure which is available. If it is not there, go for what? Append structure. So since it is there, double click on this, create the structure. Yes. Yeah, I'll provide the description here. Some description. Right. As part of this, make sure that the field names are same. What is that? ZZ commutator name types. I cannot refer to this data elements because this is character of 25. Na? I should add what? Indicator. So what I'll do, I will use a standard data element char1. Char1. You can see here I got that char1. Similarly, the field name should be same, ZG commutator address types. Here also what, char1. Done. As usual, here also provide what, enhancement category. That's it. Save it. Check for the syntax error. Activate this particular structure. Okay, so what is the point you have to understand here is, yeah, it is already activated. Errors occurred when activating refer to log. Yes, table is successfully activated. So it is successfully activated here. Done. Here are the two additional fields. So what is the point here? Enhance a dependent structure BAPI, TU, MEP header, and by adding the additional fields. Okay, so what is the note here? In the structure what? BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header. In the structure BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header, the customer include structure. The customer include structure, what was that? CA underscore EKKO DB, okay, is added by default, is available by default, is available by default. Okay, then what is the other point here? As part of the dependent structure, BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header X, add the additional fields as part of the what? Customer include. What is that customer include? CA underscore EKKO DVX. As part of the dependent structure so and so, add the additional fields as part of the customer include so and so. And these fields will act as what? Will act as what? Indicators. Will act as indicators. So the data type should be what? Char1. Should be char1. Done. So this is the procedure. So we have enhanced the base table as well as the corresponding dependent structures. That's it. Next, call that particular BAPI by supplying the additional field. So I'll copy the yesterday's program, Z BAPI 8. I'll copy this to 9th program, Z BAPI 9. Right. Enhance the PO BAPI, BAPI underscore PO underscore create1. Done. So these things anyhow we have discussed yesterday. So I'll remove all these things not required. Yeah, directly I'm preparing the PO header data. Okay, these are all required. PO header data indicators also required. So unnecessary fields I'll remove. Right, prepare the PO item data. So here also whichever fields I don't require, I'm removing that. Prepare the indicators for the item data. Done. Right, so we have so far we prepared the data related to what? Standard parameters. Now what I have to do? I need to prepare the data related to what? The data related to what? The customer specific fields. So that data is in the form of which internal table? So if you see this function module, in the table section, I need to prepare a internal table of what type? BAPIPAREX, because it is under tables section. Let me prepare it. BAPIPAREX. Yeah, before that. So as of now, I copied the program. These are only the standard fields, remember. They are only the standard parameters. Let me try to execute this first. I'm executing. It is trying to create the purchase order. Yeah, good. What happened? Success. What is the purchase order created? 4500022401. 4500022401. Okay. So if you go to the header table, EKKO table. So in the EKKO table, just now we have added what? Additional fields in the CI underscore EKKO DB. ZZ commutator name, ZZ commutator address. So if I go to table contents, right. So what is the purchase order number? 4500022401. Okay, this is the purchase order number. I'm interested only in my fields, so I'll just say settings, format list, choose fields. I'll just deselect all these things. I'll take purchase document number and what are our fields? ZZ commutator name and ZZ commutator address. So if I scroll down, yeah, you can see I'll select these two fields, ZZ commutator name and ZZ commutator address. Apply, right, execute. Good. So what happened here? The purchase order is created, but we have not supplied any data related to what? Our additional fields. But what is the point of adding the additional fields in the standard table? To capture some additional data specific to our customer business. So as of now, we are trying to create the purchase order through the BAPI. So through the BAPI, I should be able to supply the data. Later on, we will supply the data through the transaction. Later on, we will supply the data through the IDOC. Okay, so as of now, no data captured for the additional field. So what I'll do is, let us prepare this internal table. So in this copied program, I'll prepare an internal table of what type? BAPIPAREX. BAPIPAREX. Yeah, somewhere here before calling this BAPI function module. Prepare data for what? Customer specific fields. Prepare data for customer specific fields. Okay, data. What is that? T underscore extension in. It's an internal table, type table of so and so. And I require a work area to prepare the internal table extension in type BAPIPAREX. Right. So we have added the additional fields in the dependent structure. Na? What is one of the dependent structure? BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header. So based on that structure, you declare a work area. Data W underscore MEPO header type. What is that? BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header. Understood? So in this structure only, that customer include is available. Na? If I double click, yeah, in this structure only, apart from the purchase document number, they are the two additional fields, ZZ commutator name and ZZ commutator address. So here I'll try to prepare. It's a clear W underscore MEPO header, then W underscore MEPO header hyphen. What is the first field here? ZZ commutator name. Understood? Commutator name. Okay, I'll give the commutator name as something. something ABC Limited. Done. Then I'll say W underscore MEPO header hyphen ZZ commutator address equal to, I'll give some commutator address. Done. Okay, so address is prepared. Now what you have to do, we have to prepare this internal table. Na? What is the structure of this internal table? BAPIPAREX. BAPIPAREX has got what fields? Structure, value part 1 to value part 4. So let us prepare that internal table here. So here I'll say clear W underscore extension, W underscore extension in hyphen structure equal to, what is the structure which is holding the additional data? We have to provide that. What is that? BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header. Okay, done. Then W underscore extension in hyphen, I'll take only value part 1. Why only value part 1? Because what are the additional fields you added? It is what maximum what 25 plus 25, 50 characters, which can be accommodated in what value part 1. So value part 1 equal to W underscore MEPO header. Understood? So this W underscore MEPO header contains these two fields. Na? It will internally concatenates. It will internally concatenate. So what are the additional fields you have added? It should be character, remember. Then only this statement will work. Because what this statement will do, internally it concatenates the fields of this structure. This structure has got what, two fields. What are they? Not only two fields. Apart from these two fields, we have one standard field also. What is that? Purchase document number. Purchase document number, which is also what? Character. So what are the additional fields we are adding? Make sure that they are always character fields. Suppose if the question arises, suppose the additional fields that I want to add is what? Numeric. So how do we deal with that? Means, yes, character fields can also store numeric values. Na? So no problem. Even though you want to enter only numeric values, it can be stored in what? Character field. So make sure that the additional fields are what? Character. Done. Then I'll say append W underscore extension into T underscore extension in. That's it. I should also set the indicator. What is the other structure? MEPO header X. Na? So let me just prepare that also. Data W underscore MEPO header X type BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header X. X. What is this X here? X. The field names are same. You have to set only the indicators. So let me set it to X. This also what? X. Done. Again, you have to append this to what? Extension in internal table. Done. Structure equal to BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header X now. Value part 1 equal to MEPO header X. Done. Append so on. So my internal table is prepared. That's it. So I prepared the data for what? Additional fields in the form of internal table. Next, while calling the function model, this extension in is available as part of tables. Na? So while calling, tables will remain tables. So what is the parameter name? Extension in. So somewhere here, I'll say extension in equal to, what is that? T underscore extension in. That's it. Save, check for the syntax error. I got some warning related to what? This structures. I can ignore it. Okay, done. Activate this. There are warnings, not errors. That's it. So what I did here, apart from preparing the standard fields data, we need to prepare the data for what? Customer specific fields. So I declare the internal table of type so and so. Then in whichever structure we have added the additional fields, in that structure fields you have to store the data including the indicators, then append it to the final internal table, pass that internal table to the function model BAPI PO create1. So let me try to debug this. I'll put the breakpoint somewhere here. Done. Execute. So far we prepared the data for what? Header data, W underscore what? PO header. Okay, this is the work area we prepared. So if you double click on this, yes, you can see this work area contains data related to what standard fields. I gave company code as 3000, document type as NB, I gave some purchase organization 3000, something like this. Okay, done. And what is the item internal table we prepared? T underscore PO items, I think. T underscore PO items. Yes, this is the internal table again, which is carrying the item data. All these are standard fields. Item number, material number, all these are what standard fields. Done. Now we are about to prepare the internal table T underscore extension in, which is blank at this stage. It has got 5 fields: structure, value part 1, value part 2, value part 3, and value part 4. It is blank. As of now, it is blank. Okay, right. So I'm preparing the structure here. So if you see this W underscore MEPO header, if I double click on this, yeah, it has got 3 fields. PO number, this is the standard field plus our fields. As of now, it is blank. Okay, so I'm setting the data for our, I'm hard coding here. Hard coding means within the program, I'm giving the value. If you don't want to give the value within the program, you read it from the user using parameter statement, or if it is there in some table, you write the select query, get into work area and assign that work area fields here. For demonstration purpose, I directly hard coded the values within the program, but generally we will read that additional fields data through the user input, or you will get it from some database table, or if the data is there in some file, we'll read the data from that file and assign it to this, something like that. Okay, so our agenda is what? Not to write the select query reading the data from the file. Our agenda is to understand the procedure for what? Extension. Done. So we are preparing the data. Done. So this is the data here. If you see this WMEP header, it contains the data for the ZZ commutator name and ZZ commutator address. Done. Then we are preparing this work area. So if you see this W underscore extension in structure, what is the structure I was saying? BAPI underscore T underscore so and so. If you see the value part 1, when I say FI, internally it concatenates those 2 fields, ABC Limited and what else? Mumbai. It will concatenate these 2 internally. It will assign it to what? Value part 1. That's what is happening here. We are appending now. So when I say FI, it is appended. If you see this T underscore extension in, this is a structure BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header, and this is your value part 1, ABC Limited and Mumbai. It is concatenating those 2 field values and it is doing that. Finally, we have to repeat it for indicators also. So I'm adding one more entry here, FI, FI. Done. So if you see this T underscore extension in, it has got 2 entries now. One entry which is carrying the actual data, another entry carrying the indicators. That's it. Now we are trying to create the BAPI function. We are trying to create the purchase order. So if you see this V underscore P1 number, as of now it is blank. So let me try to call it. I'll say F6. Yes, it has created the purchase document 4500022402. I'll say F8. Done. It is successfully created. What is that? 4500022402. Go and check the table whether the data for the customer specific fields is added or not. So in the header table only na 22402 na. So I'll take 401, earlier one, as well as the latest one, 402 also I'll take. Done. So when I execute this, yeah, you can see the change here. Earlier, the data was not entered for the customers. So now we have entered it. Okay, so any BAPI extension requirement, this is the process. What is the process? We have to add the additional fields in the base table. Plus, if required, we need to add it in the dependent structures accordingly. How many structures means we don't know. We have to go by the documentation. After that, while calling that, before calling that particular standard BAPI function model, prepare the internal table of what type? BAPIPAREX. That internal table will hold the content related to what? Additional fields. pass that internal table as a parameter value, then it creates a data for what? Additional fields. Okay, now let us focus on another parameter, what? Extension out. Okay, so we understood that extension in is for what? Supplying the data related to what? Additional fields. Extension out is for what? Reading the data related to what? Additional fields. So what I'll do is, as usual, I want to identify the BAPI in the related to the transaction ME21. So what is the process? We already know SC93, right? So right, SC93, what is the transaction code? ME21. For this particular transaction code, this is the main program. If you double click on the program, for this program, identify the package name. So I'll choose go to attributes. What is the package name here? ME is the package name, right? So once we get the package name, go to object navigator, identify the business object types as part of that package. So I'll go to object navigator SE80. Yeah, here as part of the package ME, under business engineering, under business object types, we have many business objects. So yesterday or before that, we have seen what is the business object type here? Bus 2012 related to purchase order. So if I double click on this, bus 2012 is a business object type. If I expand the methods, what is the business object name? Purchase order. What is the BAPI we have enhanced? Create from data one. It is used for creating the purchase order. Similarly, mm, yeah, you can see here, not there. Yeah, you can see there is one API method here. Purchase order dot get detail one. We have get detail as well as get detail one. I am not using get detail because they are saying it as what absolute. If I double click on this, okay, it's saying what absolute means. Currently, it is supported. In future, SAP may not support it. So I can use if you want, but let me go for the latest one. Get detail one. Get details for what? Enjoy purchase order. Purchase order dot get detail one. So I'll double click on this. So this is the business object. This is the API method. For this API method, we need to identify the BAPI function model. So if I double click on this, if I go to ABAP tab, this is the function model. BAPI underscore PO underscore get detail one. So after identifying the BAPI function module, so let me come to function builder. This one, BAPI underscore PO underscore get detail one. If I display, yeah, what is the attributes here? Detailed information for a purchase order. So this is a read BAPI, which reads the data related to what? Purchase order. So by default, any read BAPI, this is a standard BAPI now. So any standard read BAPI will read the data related to what? Standard fields only. So if you see the signature of this particular BAPI function module, yeah, you can see what does it do? What is the mandatory import parameter? It takes what? PO number as input. This is mandatory here. Understood? PO number is what? Mandatory. If you pass purchase document number, right? If you pass purchase document number, what does it do? If I go to export, yeah, it returns me what? Purchase order header data. Okay, if you are interested, we can import it. Similarly, if I go to tables, it returns me many data, many what dependent data related to what? Purchase order. One of the data is what? Item data. So what is the behavior of this particular function model? It takes a purchase document number as input and returns the corresponding purchase order header data and purchase order item data, and also returns the status. So first what I'll do is I'll try to call this function model just for reading the purchase order header data and what? Item data. Okay, let's see how to use this. So here if I, yeah, let me do it in a separate program. read PO data. This also only what? Standard fields. Okay, type of program is what? Executable program. Done. So I'll go by the signature. What is the signature of this function module? Let me close this, not required. Yeah. So what is the signature of the function model? It takes a purchase document number as input. So let me read the input from the user. So I'll take parameters PO underscore PO number, type what, so and so. Understood? I'll say one thing, default. Just now we created one purchase order na 4500022402. Okay, let me make this as obligatory. Done. Then I'm interested to receive the purchase order header data and what item data. So header data is in the export section. Header data is always the work area, single record. So I'm interested in the header data. So I'll just take this BAPI MEPO header. So here I'll say data W underscore PO header, type what BAPI MEPO header. Then I'm interested in the item data also. So T underscore PO items, type a table of where is the item data available in the tables section. This is the data BAPI MEPO item. If you are interested in the other data also, you can declare that, but I'm interested only in the header and what item data only. Done. So this is my internal table. I'll declare the work area. PO items, type what BAPI MEPO item. That's it. And I'm interested in the status also. T underscore return, type table of, right? Type table of. What is the return type here? BAPI ret2. Done. Let us call this particular BAPI function model BAPI underscore PO underscore get detail one. To read what? Data related to what? Standard fields. I'll just go to pattern. What is the function model? BAPI underscore PO underscore get detail one. Then purchase order. What is the purchase order number? P underscore PO number. Done. And all these are optional. I'll not pass it. Yeah, I'm interested in the header data. I'll import that. What is the work area declared? W underscore PO header. Then I'm interested in item data as well as the return status. So tables, returns, PO item. Yeah, rest of the thing I'll remove. Yeah, return equal to T underscore return. Okay, and this is a PO item. Huh? Yeah, let me take T underscore what? PO items. I'm reading the item data and what header data. Done. So this is a read BAPI now. So we don't have the concept of BAPI transaction commit. Only for create and change, we have that what BAPI transaction commit. Any of you have seen that earlier also. Done. So now I'm interested in the status format color one. I'll just say BAPI execution status. This is an internal table. Now let me loop it. Loop at T underscore return into W underscore return. Inside this, I'll say type W underscore return hyphen type. Then I'll take the message W underscore return hyphen what message. End for loop is what end loop. Done. Format color off. No errors. Fine. Okay. So then also I'll try to print that header data and all those things. Purchase order header data. Okay, right. So I'll say something. PO number is what? W underscore PO header. It is returning me what? Work area. Na? So if I double click on this, what are the fields in this work area structure? PO underscore number, company code, document type. Okay, vendor. I'll try to read these four fields: company code, document type, and what? Vendor. So here I'll say PO header hyphen. What is the field we have seen? PO underscore number. Yeah, PO underscore number or NUM. PO underscore number, company underscore code, document underscore type. So here I'll say what? Company code, W underscore what? PO header hyphen, company underscore code. Then what else? Document type. W underscore PO header hyphen, document type. Then I'll take the vendor. W underscore PO header hyphen vendor. Done. So these are the four fields that is printed. Right. Let me also print the item data. Okay, I also print the item data. So here I'll say purchase order item data. It is in the internal table. Na? So I need to loop it. So loop at what is the internal table? T underscore PO items, right? T underscore PO items. So loop at T underscore PO items into W underscore PO items, right? End loop, right? So what is the fields in this item? If I go to this structure, yeah, it has got PO underscore item material. I'll take this PO underscore item and material. So here I'll say write W underscore PO items hyphen PO underscore item, and I'll take the material also W underscore PO items hyphen material. That's it. Close the color, format color off. So as of now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to call a standard BAPI. It is a read BAPI. Whenever you have get, we call it as what? Read BAPI. Okay, so we are passing the purchase order document number. If it is available, it returns the corresponding purchase order header data and item data. I received them in the work area and the internal tables. I'm just displaying it. Okay, so save, check for the syntax. No errors. Done. Execute. Yes, I'll take the same purchase order which I created just now. So if you go to this particular table, right? So what is the purchase order I created? 2402. Yeah, 402. I'm not interested in all the fields, right? So I'll just choose settings, format list. Okay, I'll deselect this. I'll take EBLN, company code, what else? Purchase document type. I want vendor and the additional fields. Competitor name and competitor address. I'll take this. Okay, so this is the data. Okay, standard fields plus customer specific fields. So as of now, I'm just passing that, but according to the logic I wrote, I'm reading only the standard field data. So when I execute, good. What happened here? BAPI execution status, purchase order header data, PO number, and what? Company code, document type, vendor, and I got the item number and material number. Working fine. Understood? Working fine. So we didn't add any issue here. Okay. We didn't add any issue. Now what is my agenda here? I want to read the data related to what? Additional fields also. So let me make a copy of this program. BAPI 10, I'll copy to BAPI 11. So standard fields and what? Customer specific fields. Done. So what is the change I have to do is in this BAPI underscore PO underscore get detail one, you can see in the table section there is a parameter what? Extension out. Using this extension out parameter, we can read the data related to what? What? Additional field. So I need to declare an internal table of what type? BAPIPAREX extension out. Okay. What is the documentation here? Extension out, nothing they gave. Okay, done. So let me declare internal BAPIPAREX structure is what? Structure value part 1 to value part 4. So it is under table section. So let us declare an internal table of what type? BAPIPAREX. So I copied the program already. So somewhere here I'll say data what? T underscore extension out type table of what? BAPIPAREX. I'll declare the work area W underscore extension out type what? BAPIPAREX. I declared an internal table and what? Work area. Okay, internal table and work area done. So here, while calling that particular BAPI function model, in the table section, what is the parameter I need to consider? Extension out. Na? So I'll just refer to this particular parameter. Extension out equal to what is that? T underscore X. This is the parameter. This is the parameter which will carry the data related to what? Additional fields. Make clear? T underscore extension out. Now let us see how to read the data related to this particular additional field. So somewhere here, I'll say uline format color 5. I'll say write purchase order data. This also customer specific fields, right? So we have added the additional fields in what structure? BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header. Na? So I'll declare a work area data W underscore BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header type what? BAPI underscore what? T underscore MEPO header. Okay, done. So the data related to the additional fields will come to this particular internal table. From this internal table, I have to read it. So what I'll do is I'll clear that work area W underscore extension out. See the logic here. Read table T underscore extension out into W underscore extension out. Okay, with the key. The extension out is of what structure? BAPIPAREX. What are the fields in this BAPIPAREX? Already we know structure and value part 1 to value part 4. So I'll say with the key what? Structure equal to in which structure we added BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header. I want to read the data related to this particular structure. BAPI underscore T underscore so on. So done. If size of RC equal to 0, if the read is successful, then I'll say clear W underscore what? BAPI underscore T underscore MEPO header done. So here I'll say W underscore MEPO header equal to W underscore extension out. We are reading this internal table data into this work area. Na? So our data is there in which field? Value part 1 only. Na? So whatever the data is there in value part 1, I am assigning to that particular work area. Done. And rest of the thing is straightforward. Here I'll say what? Competitor name is what? W underscore BAPI underscore so on. So what is the additional field name? ZZ competitor name. Then I'll say competitor address W underscore so on. So hyphen ZZ competitor address. End for if is what? End if. Save. Check for the syntax error. I got some warning. Just ignore it. Activate this. right? Let me execute this first. So I'll take this as a purchase order number, execute. Good. What I got here? Competitor name is what? ABC Limited. Competitor address is what? Mumbai. Right? If I quickly debug this, yeah, I'll put the breakpoint here. BAPI underscore PO underscore get detail one. I'll also put the breakpoint here, somewhere here. Yeah, if I execute this, right. So we are about to call the function model. What is the parameter we are interested with? T underscore extension out now. As of now, it has got 0 entries. If I double click, I don't have any data in this internal table. So when I call this function model, I'm passing this purchase document number 4500022402. Let me say F6. Yeah, I got the data into this T underscore extension out. If I double click on this, good. You can see here, this T underscore extension out has got some content here. We are interested to read the data of which structure? BAPI underscore T underscore what? MEPO header only, na? Because I know that we have added the additional fields in that particular structure. So I got some 3 entries, right? We are not bothered with other entries, we are bothered about this entry. Okay. So I'll say F8 here, it will stop in the next breakpoint. Yeah, here we are trying to read. Read this T underscore extension out has got 3 entries. I want to read a particular record. Which record? Wherever the structure is what? So and so I want to read that entry into what? Work area W underscore extension out. So if you see this W underscore extension out hyphen value part 1, as of now nothing is there. So when I read this, when I say FI, done. I got what? Concatenation of that ABC Limited and Mumbai. Understood? I got the data. I'm assigning that what? W underscore hyphen ZZ commutator name and ZZ commutator address. I'm assigning it to this work area now. As after, if you see this work area, doesn't have the data. Doesn't have the data. So whatever the data is there in the value part 1, I'm assigning it to this structure. So the data will come and sit in corresponding fields. So when I say FI, yeah, you can see now the data is stored in what? Corresponding fields. ZZ commutator name and ZZ commutator address. Execute this. So the overall theme is, when you're working with the when you're working with the create BAPIs, we have to consider which parameter extension in. When you're working with the read BAPIs, we have to consider which parameter extension out. Extension out is a parameter which will carry the data related to what? Customer specific fields. That's it. This is about the extension in and what extension out. Clear? So any BAPI you take, the process will remain what? Same. Done? So related to this BAPIs, we have done with everything. So if you see the topics which we discussed so far, we started with what? Standard BAPIs. Okay, we started with standard BAPIs. So as part of the standard BAPIs, we have seen the BAPIs what? BAPI underscore bank underscore create, BAPI underscore bank underscore change, right? We have discussed BAPI underscore bank underscore get detail, right? And we discussed BAPI underscore what? Bank underscore what? Something get list. Okay, this is what we have discussed. Then this is related to what? Which T code? FI01 T code. Okay, the T code which we used. There's the BAPI related to which T code? FI01. Then we have seen some material related BAPI. BAPI underscore material underscore what? Save data. Okay, this is the BAPI related to which T code? MM01. Okay, then what else? We have seen what? BAPI underscore EMPL com underscore create. Okay, this is the BAPI related to HR model. What is that? PA30? maintain HR master data. Then we have seen what BAPI underscore what sales order underscore create from what dat2 create from dat2. Okay, this is a BAPI related to what VA01 SG model. Then yesterday and today we have seen what BAPI underscore PO underscore what create1 and BAPI underscore PO underscore what get detail 1. This is a BAPI related to which T code ME21. Okay. Then we have discussed what BAPI extensions. BAPI extension. So we have seen two examples. One is BAPI underscore what sales order underscore what create from what dat2. This in this we have discussed what extension in, and today we have seen what BAPI underscore what for extension in we have seen BAPI underscore create1, and for extension out we have seen what BAPI underscore PO underscore what get detail get detail 1. So in this we have discussed what extension out. Okay, in this we discussed what extension in, right? Extension in parameter. And in this create from dat2 also we have discussed what extension in. Okay, then what else we have seen? We have seen how to create the custom BAPI creation. Okay, we have seen the BAPI function model standards, we have discussed that. Then we have seen what BAPI modification, right? BAPI modification. What is that BAPI modification? We have seen BAPI underscore what company code underscore what get list, right? So these are the topics which we discussed in the BAPIs. We are done with everything. We are having one more topic, LS&W using BAPI. This will be covered in what idocs. Once we get into idocs, in the middle of the idocs we'll be covering this. Will be covered in what idocs, because this requires knowledge of what idocs. So in the resume point of view also, these are the objects we have to put related to BAPIs. Working with standard BAPIs, extending the standard BAPIs, creating the custom BAPIs, and modifying the standard BAPIs. Understood? This is standard BAPI modification. And you can also put LS&W using BAPI also, that we'll be discussing later. So I gave some of the BAPIs here, but in the SAP system, you'll have hundreds and thousands of BAPIs. Any BAPI you take, the working process would remain what? Same. Done. So next session onwards, most probably we'll be starting with what? Enhancements. So what I suggest is, for enhancement, we should have some knowledge of module pool. In our basic ABAP, we know how to work with dialog programming, how to work with screens, different screen elements like input fields, text fields, push buttons, check boxes, radio buttons, table control. Okay, and we have some events, PBO event, PA event. Okay, so just go through those things. So that will be easy for you to understand what enhancements concepts. Right, so I'm done for today's session. Any queries, please ask. I'll start with enhancements most from Monday onwards. Tomorrow I'll not take any session. Monday onwards, most probably I'll be starting with what? Enhancements. Yeah, any questions before I wind off for today? Okay, so chalo then, so I'll wind off. We'll meet again on Monday. We will start with enhancements. Brush up your knowledge in dialog programming, PBO event, PA event, working with screens, navigating between screens, working with screen elements, how to impose validations, all those things. Okay, chalo then, so I'll wind off. We'll meet again on Monday.